done. Work for the Holy Ghost, work for the Son. I am a working man, oh yes I am. I am a special agent of the Lamb. Now I'm gonna wear your covering, I'm gonna wear your robe, I'm gonna wear your righteous mane everywhere I go. You're gonna light my candle, son.
I don't have any idea what's going on here, frankly. Dan's working. Hold on just a second. Let me see. Dan?
Yes. Hello.
Go ahead, talk again, Dan.
How you doing? How you doing? I can't hear me on the headphones.
I think all the headphones are gone completely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which one
I shouldn't have them on.
What color are you?
It's kind of silly. White.
Okay, try one more time.
Okay. Hey. Hello. Welcome. Hey, I hear me.
Okay, things are starting to straighten out here.
That's impressive.
Okay, so anyway, you listened to Live from the Path on livefromthepath.org. It's been a tough deal. So Ben is supposed to be in here today, doing his normal show hosting duties, and it did not work out that way. He had a concert to go to with his lady, and so he attended said concert, which just leaves Dan and I.
Why does he get to have a life?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who goes to a concert on Monday, frankly. Like, it just seems...
yeah, who even has a concert on Monday?
I don't know. It was I don't even remember the artist. I mean, it sounded like the right thing to do and all, but yeah. Here's the thing, though, Dan, is I got here early to try to keep some of these technical issues from happening.
I was here to help you.
And you just arrived a couple minutes ago, if I accurately remember.
Oh, maybe so.
But I did not. I ended up talking. They had a men's group, and so like 2 people came in, and I talked to them until 9:52. So that means I did no type of prep work at all, and I didn't get a chance to roast up Jesus content like I was looking for.
Awesome.
So I was really hoping that maybe you had something to talk about this evening. But if you do or if you don't, I guess we're gonna wade this thing through. I think Nathaniel will be stopping by a little bit later to talk with us. And we got some news coming up for our musical acts. There's people doing all kinds of crazy things, and so we're gonna tell you a couple places you can go to check out some Christian music. The Spirit Midwest Music Festival is the date has been put out, the location set. And so Live from the Path will be...
Things are moving.
Yeah, Live from the Path will be geared up for that.
Hey, technical note. Why aren't we on the screen back there?
Yeah.
Does that mean we're not out in live? Are we broadcasting and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I don't know what that...
Usually I look in the reflection and I can see what's going on.
I don't know how to make that thing do that.
Well, that's not really important. I don't need to have that happen. I just thought I'd double check since,
I assume everything's going well. You don't have your computer on you.
I don't. It's down the hall.
Okay. Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do at the moment is I'm trying to verify that the show is indeed working, and to make sure that we're broadcasting somewhere, and then also dig up content since I failed to do that. And so
maybe if we should just put a word out there that there's any pizza establishments right now that are serving, they could just deliver something. Then we'd know that we're hitting the masses.
Yeah, that's true.
I think generally we do hit the masses.
Is there any pizza places that are open this time of night? What time is it? Oh, it's 10:05. I don't know. Any legitimate pizza place would have probably given up by now, I'd guess.
I suppose. If you're a family atmosphere type of thing. Yeah.
Oh, man, stuff's happening.
Someone knocking on the door?
Hang on a second.
You got 2 phones.
Oh,
you got 3 phones.
Yeah, the lady says we're up and rocking.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay.
So here, I got a situation.
Okay.
And you can tell me if I'm just being stupid.
Dang, Dan, you already stole my thunder. That's what I was going to say.
You're stupid. I have a... I have this... Okay, first of all, I think for the first time in my life, I was talking to Jared Roy like a week ago, and he said, you're pretty idealistic. I'm like, I'm not idealistic. I'm a realist. And I started thinking, actually, I'm pretty idealistic. I think that the church should act like the Bible says it should act. I think that a believer should act like the Bible says a believer should act. And I don't understand it when people don't. Is that too simple? Am I idealistic?
What part of that makes you an idealist?
I don't know. No one's ever called me that before. And he said, you're an idealist. I thought, well, maybe I am. I mean, we set up Pathway under some pretty idealistic things, thinking, well, why don't all churches do this? But anyway, that's not my point. We went to my daughter's graduation this past weekend.
Okay.
In Kentucky Christian College, Kentucky Christian University. She went down there 4 years ago because really of the vocal instructor, Mark Deakins. Okay, he was actually my vocal instructor, which don't let that hinder your
Right, make me
impression
think less
of him.
of him. Sure, I understand.
However, I was a guy who literally, before I met him, if I was sitting back in the old days in a pew in a church, I would sing just soft enough that no one would hear me. I mean, because I didn't want anybody to hear you. I wasn't a singer. I'm not a singer, but I really wasn't a singer.
No, not classically trained. No,
Not at all. I mean, not even. I mean, I didn't want anybody to hear me. Not even my mom. I didn't sing in the shower. Anyway, and through him, I did my first solo and all that stuff. Anyway, so he's a great guy and really brings a lot out of people who don't have much. So if he has people that are talented, he can really make them. I mean, he can really they can sound good.
Sure.
They've sung with the Gaithers. They've got Dove Awards. The college choir. They've done some pretty big time stuff. Gone to New York in the what's the big place there? People are supposed to go to
the Broadway.
There's like some Philharmonic.
The Philharmonic.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Danielle has sung there. Or right in that area. And anyway, because of how he does a great job. He has been at the university there for, I think, 23 years. Well, a new president came on board about 3 years ago. Personality conflicts between Mark and the new guy. And they started slowly kind of inching him out. They fired his wife a year ago.
Oh, that seems underhanded.
Yeah, I like, well, that's kind of odd. Of course, they won't word it that way. Well, we had budget cuts, blah, blah, blah. It's like, how come she's the only one who got cut? That's kind of odd.
Yeah.
And then they started limiting where they could go in their choir. Like, hey, you can only go to so many miles away from this choir.
Well, it seems like it hurts the program more than it hurts the guy.
Absolutely. So now this year, all of a sudden, after everything had been set, they suddenly decided there's another budget cut, and they're not renewing his contract. Okay, so he's gone. All right, basically fired.
Okay.
For no reason. He's great. We go to the graduation ceremonies. He's taking the high road. He's not saying anything public. He's not whining. He's there. The choir sings a couple things. Matter of fact, the commencement was like, man, I have never in my life heard of such a good choir. And I'm like, yeah, that's because
that's all right.
Anyway, it was just odd to me that it's not even mentioned that he's retiring, that he's leaving. It's not even, I mean, there's not a mention at all. At the same time, there was a Bible guy who was retiring, had been there about the same amount of time, and they had a big deal for him, gave him a gift, standing ovation. Hey, look at this guy, he's the greatest guy in the world, blah, blah, blah. Well, he's not going to be here anymore. It's like, it just really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I understand personality conflicts. Hey, Paul and Mark in the Bible had personality differences, and they split and went different ways. I'll bet you they were Christian about it, though.
Right.
I bet you they said, hey, you know what? We serve the same Jesus. We just don't really see eye to eye. Why don't we just go two directions? I get that.
I think people have a hard time with this, right? Because they assume that, like, if you love Jesus and I love Jesus, what could we possibly have to disagree on? So obviously,
everything. I mean,
and so they're like, well, one of us ain't loving Jesus right, so we're splitting ways that are going to cause trouble. You know what I'm saying? Which is not necessarily the case. There can be two people that love Christ, and they just don't like each other. They just don't get along.
We're still people.
Like, I mean, you have to have. I don't know. I got taught a little bit of lesson of this week, but like, it's really hard to go day by day and not have any grace for people. You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, who do you think you are? To not have grace for people when you've been given so much.
Exactly.
Like all I get is grace, and then I hold things against people, and I'm like, when does my grace run out? It runs out before Jesus's, that's for sure. But right, I mean, that tank seems a little shallow. I don't have grace for nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, there's a couple situations this week that just really hit me in my face. I didn't have any. I was upset. I think I was upset for a legitimate reason, but I wasn't willing to let it go. Like, and I thought, why don't you just do the right thing and I wouldn't have to be upset?
We'd all be happier.
Done the right thing and stop shining me on. And then I thought, I can just see God sitting in heaven, looking at Jesus going, why can't Mike just do what I ask him to do? He does okay like 75% of the time, but the other 25% he's just blatantly disobeying me. Yeah. Why can't you do just what you're supposed to do? And I thought, oh, crap.
You're right.
That's me. You know what I'm saying? I'm that guy. And I thought, if God's got grace for that, then I need to have grace for this. Like, it's not even like my situations are even important.
Mm-hmm.
His situations are important. You know, you're going to hell. You're not going to hell. You know, my situation is you owe me $20. You don't owe me $20, or
Yeah.
you know, why'd you lie to me? You know,
Yeah.
Like they're puffed up pride issues. Like, how dare you treat me in this manner?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and God's got the only hand to point a finger like something like that. You know.
Well, and you know that had to be at the center of what was going on with these two guys. I don't know the issue. I don't care what the issue is. It's none of my business what the issue is between the president and the dean of music. And why couldn't they have at least been adult about it?
Right.
I mean, Mark was. I mean, I don't know everything that happened in the backgrounds. Maybe he wasn't, but publicly at least, they did their last song. His son is in the choir. His wife is there, and it caught my eye because I saw Mark kind of go like, you know, go to his wife, hey, come over here, and I saw her get up and walk to him, and as the choir was leaving, which usually the director, he's just there and the whole choir leaves, then he'll kind of go off. In the middle of it, he and his wife walk back behind the curtain and disappear. Well, later I found out because that was when their son was there, and they disappeared. Now they're just gone. It's like, really? After 2 decades plus of committed service, representing the university well, they couldn't at least say, hey, wow, can we just honor Mark Deacon's been here for a long time. He's given his soul to this place. He built the music program, and nothing. Most of the people there probably had no clue it was happening. But the people.
Now, how does that tie into your idealistic thing?
I don't get it. I don't understand how a Christian university, how a university that could call itself Christian can do that. How the president who calls himself a believer can allow his pride to get in the way, because that's what it had to be what happened.
Right.
I'm assuming. I'm just saying I have no confidence in that man at all as a leader. None. He was not adult enough to say, hey, let's kudos.
That brings up a very interesting topic, Dan, is how do Christians fight? Like, how do you fight? Like, how do you battle? How do you do things? How do you do something that is distasteful but still biblical? You know what I'm saying? Like, fighting and parting ways is still part of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that you can ignore. And you tend to run into this most when people refuse biblical counsel, and they're just not. I don't know. They're just not grabbing on to what's going on, or I have a pride issue, or they have a pride issue, or something.
I think it's pride. I really do. And there is no place for pride in God's kingdom. There's none. Okay, I mean, it's a sin like anything else, but there is no place for it in the church. There's no place for it in a Christian university, in a Christian setting. None. It is so short-sighted to say, all that matters is my little kingdom is reigning here, and it goes the way I like it.
That's the problem, though, is like, how do you enforce that? Because you're guilty of the same thing. So now you have to decide, I don't know, because you're never going to find a non-prideful beast to lead anything.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll find some humble people where it's not 95% of the time pride and
who
then
are mature
5%
enough to
humble.
step back.
But who can call it what it is. I find that to be the most rewarding characteristic for a leader, and because I'm not generally a leader type, but the leaders that I tend to respect are people that call it what it is. I respect that almost above anything. They call it what it is, and they act on what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, that seems to be pretty cut and dry. Because the where you start having problems is where people start interjecting, like their thoughts on the matter, or 2 steps down the road how someone might feel about it. And while having consideration for other people's feelings is always a good thing, an ability to call it what it is and say, here's what it is, and then act to it, it goes a long way with me. Like, I really respect that. Like, here's what it is. This is not going to happen. A is going to happen. We're doing this. Done. They'll say, but so-and-so is going to be upset. You say, well, it's what it is. Like, it is what it is. I can't change it. If so-and-so wants to be upset because of that is what it is, then that's them just being upset.
But at least, even, I'm sure, like in this situation, there were egos and clashes, and even if it was time for him to go, okay, I get that.
Right.
I mean,
He'd been there a while.
Life. Yeah. You can't acknowledge it. You can't just say thank you. Isn't that a slap in the face? We're going to say thank you to this guy, who I probably didn't agree with everything he did either, but we're not going to even mention this guy.
Right.
We're just going to let him.
That must have been a huge ego problem.
Oh, it had to be.
I mean, it just had to. I always wonder what could cause that big of a rift. I always wondered what caused that big rift between Paul and Mark.
Yeah, me too.
I'd be really interested on what they didn't disagree on.
And then later on, they did get back together. Yeah. It took a while, but they fought.
Boy, that'd be really interesting. I'm going to tell you this. after my reading of the New Testament, I've decided I would not want to be Mark. Like, Mark seems like a nice guy, but I certainly want to not make Paul mad at me. He just seems like a dude that you just don't want to be on the wrong side of. You know?
You kind of see Paul. He's like the man of action. He's the guy that's just stand. Let's make things happen. And Mark's probably like, can we just sing Kumbaya and
Right.
see how it works?
Let's hang. You know, let's hang
Can we
on
do
this
that?
thing.
You know,
Hey, buddy.
how are you?
Nathaniel, how's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
You're looking fine.
Well, thank you. I brought some beverages, fellas.
Okay. Nathaniel, let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
Nathaniel, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Still asking.
Hang on.
Still asking.
Okay, we're going to try to see if that works.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, there it is.
Well,
Wow.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Oh.
Nope. Hang on a minute. We're having intermittent stereo problems.
Um,
So how's the day been? I was trying to do a sound check pretty sneakily, but it didn't work out very well.
That was pretty sneaky.
We have a bum cord in between this and that. But it's really not set us up here. Here's the problem, right? Just for a heads up, you're listening to Live from the Path on livefromthepath.org. Usually you get a much better show. Here's the thing. Our lead man / host, who's also a technical coordinator, happens to be at a concert. And usually when he knows he's going to be gone, he oversets it up so there's no possible way for me to screw it up. This didn't happen this time. Big disaster. So I have technical audio feed problems, and things aren't quite going well. But
Was this a spur of the moment concert, or was it something he had
no,
planned?
he knew it was coming. He just
didn't care.
He totally flaked us off. You know,
What a jerk. I think we should get mad at it.
Well, I mean, I'm righteously angry, but I can't decide how to fight with him. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. We should mean to do this in a godly way. Well, it's been nice knowing Ben.
Yeah. When do you cut ties with him, Nathaniel?
Cut ties with Ben?
Yeah, just in general. When do you think it's time we've had enough of Ben?
I think Ben usually does pretty all right. So,
You have some grace for Ben.
yeah. I think.
We shall call you Mark.
Okay.
Oh man, I really got this messed up, fellas. You like I said. So Nathaniel, what did you say you were doing? what were we talking about, Dan?
We were talking about pride and arguments within the faith when you're trying to get something done for Jesus, and then pride gets in the way and ego gets in the way, and Paul and Mark separated out on the mission field. They were planting churches and they got so mad at each other they went different ways. Came back later.
I thought that was Barnabas.
Barnabas went with Paul. Or did Barnabas go with Mark? Now I have to think about it.
I thought Paul and Barnabas split up along the way. Like they got.
Well, it was a fight over Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was an argument going on. But anyway, the point was,
I thought at one point Mark had flaked out on both of them, Paul and Barnabas, and Barnabas wanted to say, "No, man, you're not ready for it. You're not ready for the action again." And Paul wouldn't take him back, and so they split ways. And God used that, in fact, to cover more ground.
Yeah, actually, it turned out to be a pretty positive thing. We were talking about. I just went to my daughter's graduation, and there was a parting of ways between a staff member and the university who'd been there 23 or 4 years or whatever, and they didn't even mention his name. Like they could have. Another guy also was retiring, and they had a big celebration. Look, he's retiring! Isn't it great? Oh, he's wonderful! Everybody clapped. And the other guy, like no one even said anything. And I know it was over some ego that was going on, and I just kind of thought, it just doesn't seem very appropriate. That was my thought.
I brought some beverages.
So you have a lot to add to that.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
Yeah.
Can we drink about that for a little bit?
So-
what are your beverages? Those are killers, aren't they?
No, they're not. They're,
Monsters?
They're healthy for you. I even
Monster.
bought you a low carb one.
I have never had a Monster. I don't know that I want to.
He brought you a low carb one.
Aren't they supposed to like keep you awake and stuff?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
We're
see-
here till 12.
I know, but see, then I wake up at 6.
Delicious.
And, I can see myself not going to bed till 5:30.
I'll take one of that, Jeff.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to pass on the Monster. I appreciate, though, the gesture.
I'm going to have the Java Monster. That's what I'm going to have.
Sweet.
I can see this killing me.
Hey, Dan, have you ever thought about starting up a biker gang? Because I see you got your bike out there.
I do have my bike.
And
out
I
there.
thought to myself, Dan would look good in a jean jacket with a big old patch on the back.
I have to say that I have not. I've not thought a lot
You've
about
not
that.
thought about it.
But maybe someday
You
I
could call
will.
yourselves the Holy Rollers.
I like it.
Yeah.
That seems like something an 18-wheeler would be, because there's a lot more rolling going on.
Oh, yeah. Or a bowling team.
Yeah, you could be the
What's the status, Mike? Can people hear us?
Oh yeah, we're solid out there. We're just not solid in here. It's no big deal.
Okay. Cool.
I can hear you.
I can see.
I was trying to pick up the show on my phone. It doesn't really play on my phone for some reason.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay. You've been listening to Live from the Past. I can't imagine why.
I don't. I was as you were saying that, I was thinking, why would anyone?
Why would anybody listen to right now? Because
Here's the deal. So I was reading the CNN Belief blog a little bit this week. I wasn't in the comments, but I was reading a little bit of the CNN Belief blog, and I'm having a real hard time here recently. Like, it seems like we're outgunned by our own people. Like, I feel like every time there's a hot button issue that the representatives we have from the Christian church will go out to the media and say terrible things that don't fall in line with Christ at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're playing for our team but sabotaging us from the inside.
Or be wolves in sheep clothing.
Here's how that works, though. They find somebody who will say something maybe slightly outlandish, something that will not even necessarily, they're not even trying to be outlandish. They'll just say something like, "Hey, gay's not okay," or something. Put it on, just something, that will get someone's attention and spark a reaction. Whether it's good, right, true, doesn't matter.
Right.
Just from the media perspective, they're like, "Oh," and then that person gets in the news. So then Joe Blow down the road, down to a different state, whatever, has seen it on AP. So they're looking for a contact. They say, "I'm going to go call so-and-so because I see have commented on this before," and pretty soon they become like the contact person. It's not even necessarily in some cases that person wants to be or is trying to be. That's just now the name, because people can associate, "Oh yeah, that's that guy," and pretty soon they're the expert and the media person and spokesman for a lot of people, whether they are or not.
No, that's true. It's not like we get to pick a guy.
Yeah.
Although a lot of the political associations, claim to be the Christian right or whatever, will hold their own pep rallies and try to raise money and stuff, and they'll go out and say stuff that I completely don't agree with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just I feel like we're fighting the wind on this thing. Like every time I turn around, Joel Osteen's saying something else that I don't know, seems like a totally watered down version of Christianity to me. Or one of the pastor dudes from Chicago, Rob Bell, is out saying something I don't agree with. Tammy Faye Baker's boys out there saying stuff I don't agree with. And they're like, "Here's what the Bible says." I'm like, the Bible does not say that.
Yeah,
why do you keep saying that? Here's what I wish they'd do. If they're going to do that, I wish they'd say, "Here's what I think." That's okay. You could totally say that. I think this, or I think that. That's fine. But when you say, "Here's what the Bible says," now you got problems. Because
this is the authority right here. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the message from God. What I hate is when the politicians start quoting the Bible and they've never read it or put it in context. They have no idea what that verse means, really. They're just trying to, "Hey, Jesus would do this."
I find that
God just wants the best for your life. That's my Joel Osteen impression.
That was good.
he's,
Can I write you a check?
I tell you what, he
Yes.
kills me.
Although I'll send you a prayer blanket.
I get cold in the winter.
Live Path on livefromthepath.org. We were talking a little bit earlier about, I don't know, pride in the church. Maybe pride in general, pride in Christian organizations. Obviously, I don't think we give pride near enough credence and near enough attention, frankly. And it's hard because once you give a prideful man too much attention, he feels pride about this much attention that he's getting. He's like, "I must be really important and special because everyone's paying attention.
I must be awesome."
Yeah. That is kind of awkward to come to that point. Like, "Hey, I'm a pretty humble person."
I find it seems very weird, but like how the dirty business ever gets done in church. You know what I'm saying? Like where something has to happen and nobody wants to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like what if there's just a guy or a family or like I don't know, they're just causing a bunch of trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say a family comes in and from out of state and they want to move in and they start going to your church and they're like, okay, and they participate, and then all of a sudden they kind of start turning on you, and they bring whatever baggage they had at their old place to your place, and they start spreading around like a virus. Like I feel like leadership gets to walk up and say, "Look, you can't do that here." either you stop doing it or you have to leave. And then I feel like 25% of the church with the bleeding heart's going to go, no, you can't ask him to leave. And then the other 25 is like, you should have done that a long time ago. And like, where's the middle? Like, do you just boot them out? Like, where's the line where you're like, you're poisoning people? You know, like,
Yeah.
I have no idea what it is. I can't find a.
Treat them as the heathens.
Does Bible speak directly to that?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, well, let's say it's not false doctrine. Let's say you're just hard to get along with.
Yeah. I think it's 1 Thessalonians. It says, warn a divisive person once, warn him a second time. After that, have nothing to do with him. That's pretty direct.
Yeah, I suppose that's not kidding around.
Yeah. You gotta be easy.
What if it's over dumb stuff, though? Like, what's they always complain about the donuts, and then they get everyone to complain about the donuts, too. They're like, I don't like the donuts. I can't believe the donuts they pick. And then
Well,
they
then
divisive.
if the donuts are bad,
I'm kind of divisive.
if ever,
I mean, I like to get people on my side when I think
Have you
something
been
foul.
warned?
Not yet.
Oh.
Don't warn me yet. I'd like it.
You're on the radar now.
I like
Have
to
you
know
been
that I have 2 chances left before people will boot me out of the church completely.
See, that's part of you have to have wisdom to know, is this a divisive person, or is it just someone with a strong opinion? Because people have strong opinions that are valid and important, and
People have strong opinions that are wrong. I do that all the time.
yeah, absolutely. But that's different than someone who is trying to be divisive and trying to cause problems and rifts in the congregation and stuff. And those you have to get rid of. And I've had those conversations. It's not a fun thing. And they start throwing verses at you like, oh, you can't judge and blah, blah, blah. They do stuff. It's like, actually, we're called to judge. I mean, we have to judge. If you're in leadership, you have to be a fruit inspector, especially if you're leading people astray.
Well,
I mean,
that's true.
Or if you're causing, you like the fruit inspector. Kind of
I like that fruit inspector.
He's got aphids.
I totally knew it.
One bad apple.
What is it? One bad apple spoils the bunch?
Yeah,
I think that's Michael Jackson.
That's
Michael
what?
Jackson does not say that.
One bad apple.
What was that? Good gravy.
We just okay at Walgreens. We just got in these headphones, and they're Michael Jackson headphones and Elvis headphones. Like they're kind of like trying to do that Dr. Dre Beats thing,
Okay.
but it's with Michael Jackson and Elvis. And I'm like, why? Why do we have these at all? No one's gonna buy these, and why does the Michael Jackson or Elvis estate need more money?
I want to buy one.
Okay, they're $10.
I bet they're
I'd
junk.
like two.
I bet they're not worth anything.
So I don't get it. They're headphones, and they just have their head on it, or what?
I think they have their initials on the headphones, and they're supposed to be premium quality sound.
You know they're not. I'm going to submit if they sell them at the Walgreens, they're not premium quality.
You're paying more for the name initialed on the side than you.
I
are
think
the
that's all you're
quality
paying
of
for. The plastic's got to
Exactly.
be 30 cents, and then Jackson signed it, and then whatever. They're selling
Michael
it to the
Jackson
masses.
approved. Well, he would have.
He approves everything.
We think. He actually was pretty good. He was a genius. As much as a creepy person he was, you still look at stuff and think, man, he was always like 3 steps ahead of everybody.
Oh, he's musically unparalleled.
Yeah.
He wrote his own tunes. That blows me away.
He has hundreds just sitting there in storage right now. That'll be kind of a circus when they start putting those things out. But
Give or take his weirdness, but he wrote good tunes.
yeah,
Like, they're catchy. Even if you don't like Michael Jackson, when Billie Jean comes on, you just do this thing. You just can't help it. You do what Dan does.
Yeah, you can't help it. It's just happening.
I mean, they're just good tunes, you
And
know?
he broke all kinds of
Records.
records. Yeah, new ways of doing videos and stuff that went into the movies and changed all kinds of stuff just from what he did in little music videos. Kind of cool.
You know what happened to him?
I think
He died.
His daddy stunk. That's what happened to him.
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
He didn't follow Jesus. Poor old Michael just... What do you expect? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, for all those people that hate him and want to come after him and, call him the worst human being ever born, what do you expect from a guy who had just such a terrible example of how to be a man? What do you expect of that guy?
Well as someone who since when did he start singing? 5 years old?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was totally robbed of his childhood. Now, frankly, I don't buy that as a huge excuse. I mean, I think we overindulge childhood. We've extended it well into 20s now.
Yeah, but through your years, haven't you had someone say no to you before? Like somewhere between the age 5 and now?
I agree with that. What, are you saying that he was undisciplined?
Oh, absolutely.
He got whooped.
He was no one as an adult. I mean, he was a superstar. Who's going to say no to Michael Jackson?
His dad.
Well, he worked around his dad.
It's old dad's a workaround. Here, Dad. Here's some drugs. Go away.
Dad's away.
I mean, you're surrounded by yes men. You live in a false reality. I don't know how you can go through your entire life in that reality and not be just weird.
Well, but it's your reality.
Exactly, but it's not reality.
But it is.
It's goofy.
It's your reality. Like it's a false reality for you because you didn't grow up in it. But like if it's the truth for you, it's the truth. So
I guess that was his reality, wasn't it?
his whole life. It's not
he
like it
said-
ever ended.
So is truth
whatever he got.
relative? That's what it comes down to.
Well, the truth, he still met the Creator and was judged based on the truth. So no matter what his life was like, he couldn't alter reality in eternity.
Amen, Francis.
Done.
Yes.
Okay, so here's a question.
'Kay,
I've been
false.
pondering about this all week long.
I'm ready.
How do you evangelize to a dude who was brought up in the Christian faith? Maybe not, maybe in like a more traditional Christian faith,
Sure.
and has decided that's not the thing for them. Like they've studied the Bible and all that, and they've just said no, thank you. How do you evangelize that dude? Or can you not evangelize to them because they've read all the verses, they know all the things, and they still said no thanks?
I think you got to find out what are they really saying no thanks to. So sometimes they'll say it's to the faith, but it's really to something else. Yeah, it's to the system, it's to the church, it's to the parents, it's
To the man.
I find a lot of
man.
people have problems with the church and not really well. I think they were brought to love the church and not to love Jesus, and then when the church screwed with them,
Yeah.
they said, "I don't love Christ. I don't love God. I don't like the way this runs." And really, it was just
They never did.
They never did. They never knew him. You know, they just
Yeah.
knew a church and they just knew a religion, and then they bailed. I think a good question to ask somebody like that is, what part of God's love turns you off? I mean, not in a mean, sarcastic way, but like, what part of the God of the Bible that has been described to you can you not get on board with? Well, he loves me and forgives me for everything I do. Yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I like to do what I want.
He's so harsh.
I don't know. What do you think? I suppose he didn't lead any detractors, did he? Did he say any reason why he didn't like it? Why we gave up on it?
I don't actually know a guy. I was just thinking about it. I ponder on weird things at night.
If there were a guy out
If
there.
there were- yeah, that's what I do.
What if he had said, "Look, it seems too restrictive to me"?
I think any kind of lifestyle is restricting you from one thing or another.
Like a freewheeling lifestyle is restricting you from a life without disease? Or
What?
I mean, that's kind of half true, I guess, if you look at it in the negative. Like, if I just do whatever I want, then it's not really restricting me from anything except for a lifestyle where I don't get to do whatever I want.
Exactly.
So that's what he says. He says, "Look, it seems like there's an awful lot of rules, and they seem like they, I don't get to do what I want."
I think you want to ask what rules specifically. I mean, what are you upset with? And
Get down to the nitty gritty.
nitty gritty. Go back to it. Maybe you're in the wrong church. Maybe you're. I mean, you don't want to just find some liberal church. You can these
Well, I mean,
days.
does
you can find
God's
a
rules
church
change from church to church? I don't understand.
What's that?
Do God's rules change from
Oh.
church to church?
No, but the way they teach them do, which that's kind of
They're just
dangerous when you encourage people.
Whatever the congregation wants.
Because that's the problem. You also have to have a biblical church. That there are churches out there that claim to be biblical and just plain aren't, and they're just you got to know the Bible enough to know the difference.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like you just get it. You can color Jesus whatever color you want him, and then that's what he looks like at your place. I just stick to myself. I know myself, and I can trust myself and myself only.
Because so just like Jesus talked to, there were Pharisees who added all kinds of stuff to the Bible. Well, that'd be a little too strict. And even Jesus said, "Yeah, you're being too strict." When Jesus says that,
Yeah, you're probably being too strict.
it's like, "Hey, tell you what, I wrote the rules. Trust me, you're being too strict. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath." He kept correcting them on things, and churches will do that today. Their motives are right, but they add so many things to Scripture that it pushes people away from the gospel. Like,
I went to a wedding this weekend, and it was I don't know. the service was quick. You know, it was nice and quick. But like the preacher did not. There wasn't one bit of God about the whole thing. And I thought, is this seriously a wedding? And it was a preacher. Like, it was, you know, they had a robe on. I thought someone was getting graduating, but they just wear this robe, I guess. But like the whole spiel went by, and there wasn't like one bit about, you know, let God not separate what man, you know, or let man not separate what God's, you know, joined together, or anything about holy matrimony. No, not one bit of God in the whole thing. And I thought, what kind of preacher agrees to this? You know, like, I think you've completely vetted your responsibility as a leader. You know, if God's called you into ministry and this is what you've done with it, I have a hard time believing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, most ministers that I know will not marry you unless you talk to them about Jesus first. You know, like, and usually they'll take it. My grandpa was known for this. He'll marry you, but he gets to shill about God for at least 10 minutes. Like, he's not just going to marry you and then call it a day. Like, he's going to do a 10-minute quick sermon and try to grab whoever he can, you know, because weddings are highly attended. You know, so he's just going to throw some stuff in there. And that was just his deal. He always did that, you know, and I paid him. I paid my own grandpa $50. $50 to do my wedding.
Nice.
Yeah, I think he came out the whole way. He had to drive down, but I don't know. Like, there wasn't one bit of it in there, and I thought, I don't know. I was listening to the whole thing, and then I watched it get over with, and I thought, this is not a good way for a marriage to start. This is not a good way. Either they specifically said do not include that in there, or the preacher said, you know, we don't have to include it. Both are terrible examples. Terrible. Mm-hmm. You know, and I thought, what do you say to somebody like this, right? Like, because I wasn't upset at the couple. Obviously, they don't know Jesus. You know.
Yeah.
They did have "Need to Breathe" in the wedding. You know, as one of the wedding tunes. And I thought,
there you go.
And then the whole service went by with not one mention of God. I'm like, bummer. You know. But then I thought, how important is it? How important is it to grandstand at this thing? You think you got to have God in there?
That's a good question. I actually have a wedding this coming weekend where they said, we don't want you to talk about God. And
are you doing it?
I'm doing it.
Dan!
But I'm not going to not talk about God.
Oh, you're going to lie to him, and then you're going to do it.
I'm trying to be as sly as fox. I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. I haven't sat down in front of a piece of paper.
You don't require any type of premarital counseling?
You know, I used to, and we had this long process we went through, and every single couple I did this with, usually the gal was pretty interested, and the guy would just say whatever just to get through the thing. They could give a rip. There was nothing about it that was transformational in any way, you know. And I've just never found anything that I really like. So I finally thought, you know, why kid ourselves? Why waste my time and theirs? We're going to talk about Jesus. We'll get together and talk three times and say, hey, here. I'll just tell them, you got to have God in the center of your marriage, or it's not going to work. I'll just tell you right now, you're going to fail.
But I'll marry you anyway?
If I have an opportunity to keep talking to them, yeah. If I can build a relationship where they might not like jump into church or anything, but if I become like the pastor that they'll associate
right, when
with,
something goes down, they'll call you and be like,
it might be 5 years later they have a child die. It might be, you know, someone loses a job. It might be whatever. If they have a contact, they can say, hey, when they're ready, then they're ready. If they're not ready, so that's the fine line. If you're forcing it on people, you know, that they don't know.
Right? Are they just trying to get to know Jesus so you'll marry them?
Yeah, and we walk off and put a notch on our belt. Yeah, I did it one more time. It's like nobody cared. They didn't listen to a word you said. But you build a relationship when they are ready. Never said. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that. To be honest, I struggle.
But here's the thing: like, it's hard to separate this out in your head between biblical marriage and state licensed marriage, right? Like, you don't have to be anything to marry people. You just go down to the state and say, I'm going to marry people.
I'll marry him. Yeah.
You're a glorified notary. Like, you're the guy that watches them sign crap. The state is basically saying, okay, you're allowed on the state of Iowa's behalf to watch people sign documents. And you say, I can do that. That's it. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to know anything about anything. That's all you have to do.
But see, here's the thing. I think because they often, I mean, a lot of people don't, but there are people who do, like here's a couple, go to a pastor to have this done. Somewhere deep inside, they know there's something beyond. They don't want, like, the court registrar to do it.
Right. They don't want to just do the...
It's like, well, what do you want me involved for? But not God. That's kind of odd. And
I think it's part of the fairy tale.
I think it's part of the ceremony, the grandeur of the thing.
Because the judge ain't gonna come down there. You got to go do it at the courthouse. It seems lame.
That way, stuffy religion stuff. But I want a preacher doing it. Like, well.
People are comfortable with stuffy religion because it's not in your face. You can take it or leave it, and it just doesn't bother you, right? A preacher man is a little different because he's gonna look you in the eye and say, "What's the deal?" I don't know, Dan.
So I'm working through that. That's my challenge of the week. Is that's coming up.
Yeah, but that's what I'm asking you, Dan. Is you think that you
What
think
if they're watching the show? Then now they know.
It's not looking that.
I'm
It's
gonna-
not looking like that.
I'm gonna slide a little Jesus in.
I think the question is that are you doing the right thing there? Like, are you biblically marrying people, or are you just state marrying people? Are you just working as the notary, hoping that they'll eventually contact you in case a real Jesus moment comes up?
Yeah.
Like, or are you marrying people under, biblical recommendations for marriage?
You want my real, true, honest?
Yeah.
Okay. They've been married for some time.
Right, because the horizontal bop.
Exactly. And they're going to have a little document that whatever the state says is irrelevant to marriage. I mean, they can call it what they want. They can they have party A and party B now rather than groom and bride, because they can't figure out what a groom is or a bride is, because and it's like,
Because some boys have long hair.
that's probably what
That's
they're
why.
thinking. But the thing is that it's irrelevant, because God says what marriage is. God created it. God designed it.
That's true. I think people maybe
You
get a
know.
little bit lost on the ceremony, like it's kind of the big hairy deal, and really it's not. We don't need to rehash the thing, Dan. I know you're excited to tell your story about what Old Testament biblical
I don't know what you're talking about.
marriage ceremony would be.
Just like this.
Sheets and whatever. I mean,
When a man loves
you
a
really
woman.
love this story, but we're not going to do it again.
He didn't have to love her. He just had to say, "Hey." My parents said, "I'm with you."
You know, it's funny because that topic comes up all the time with the gay marriage, and I'm like, I just don't care what the state says. Like, I just don't care. They call it whatever they want. Like,
And technically, they can't be married because they don't have those parts that become one.
The thing is, like, who did I see spoke out about this just this week? It was something stupid. Anyway, but they basically said, somebody on Facebook, a friend of mine on Facebook, tried to meet people both ways. Said, look, getting married is it's a Bible deal, so whatever, don't call it getting married, and don't force churches to do it. And then, if the state wants to provide benefits for people who want to be in a union, then they can provide benefits. He goes, seems to work 50-50. But that's not what they want. That's the problem, is Party B does not want that. Party B does not want, they're not after the medical benefits.
They're tired having someone say it's sin.
But people get all fired up about this, and this kills me, right? Because I've been in conversations this week about this, and I'm like, they're not fighting with you; they're fighting with Jesus. And don't take up arms like you're Christ. You know what I'm saying?
I have nothing against them. Yeah.
People act like they wrote the Bible themselves, and they've known history, and they know everything that there is to know, and they say, here's the way it is. Here's why God did what God did. I don't know why God did what God did. I can just tell you what God says. That's all I can say. And so you don't have to be such a staunch jerk about it, where you're fighting it like you sat down with Jesus and coerced the Bible, and you and him together decided this is how it was going to be. Because that's not what happened, right? You believe the Bible's true. You believe Christ is who he says he is. I'm just telling you what Christ tells me. Christ wrote it down in his book. Here's what he thinks. I'm sorry and they say I don't agree with that. Okay, you're fighting with Jesus, not me. I'm just telling you how it is. That's it. And so
You can redefine it. You can change it. You can change laws. You can do everything. He still said what he said.
Frankly, it's a very it's not a bad place to start with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll say, I can't believe you even believe in that. And you say, well, I've done some research, whatever. I do some reading, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I found. They'll say, that sounds ridiculous. I said, not as ridiculous as not believing it. And then you got a conversation, boys. You know what I'm saying?
Then it's down.
Then it starts. Nathaniel,
Yes, sir.
let me ask you something.
Yes.
Have you ever evangelized to somebody while you were at work?
While I was at work?
Yeah.
Yes.
How did it go?
Okay, it was during that Harold camping thing.
Okay.
Ooh.
And there's a girl there who she grew up and she went to a Catholic school. And her statement to me was, I should go to heaven. I've been a good person. I said, it doesn't matter how good of a person you are. It's whether you believe Christ is your savior or not. I think she was starting to pick it up by the end of the conversation.
That's good, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to witness to people at work. I think I've done it, and I've done a poor job of it, but I've done it. I thought about it the other day because I thought, man, I brought it down on myself. I thought I'm really slacking in this area. I'd like to spread. I'd like to show my relationship with Christ better than I do. And then I thought about it, and I thought, I've talked about Jesus, not even just church, about Jesus specifically to like 85% of my workplace. I thought that's not bad. You know,
That's pretty good.
yeah, I might. I think I might take 2 steps back every once in a while with my behavior and betray the love of Christ sometimes. But you know, on the most part, you know, they ask me why I do things, and I tell them why I do things, and you know, it is what it is. And I thought, you know, that's probably the best witness I can come up with, instead of trying to glorify some kind of speech or think of something fancy to say. Like, I should probably stand back and be, you know, taken aback a little bit that people say, "Why are you like that?" That's a good sign. If people question why you act so funny, that's a good sign for Christ.
Why you act
they say,
so
why do you act like this? You know, I've had more than one conversation where they're, you know, in fact, I said, I think I had somebody I was talking to last week, and they said, you know, how's work going? I said, I don't like being out of town that much. I said, apart from that, it's okay, but I just don't like being out of town. And he's like, yeah, the wife's really coming after you about it, huh? I said, no, I just really love my family, and I want to be home. That's it.
That's weird.
I said I got some other stuff, you know, to do outside of this gig, and you know, it really cramps my style when I'm out of town. I like to be home with my wife and my kids, and I like to do what God's got me doing. And he goes, "The wife's giving you a hard time, huh?" I said, "No." I said, if she was, I'd say so, but that's not the deal. Like they're just
She asked me to leave more.
They're just blown away that you can't possibly. You know, that you want to go home and hang out with your family. Just blown away.
For mostly at my work, it's speech issues. Everybody swears like a sailor when customers are not around, except for me, because I don't do that.
Do they ask you why you don't swear?
They have before, and you know, it's Jesus. They all know where I'm at Sunday mornings. They know that I can't come in then.
I think that's a solid witness. You know.
Yeah.
I really do. Like I think people try to trump it up, and I think God calls the people He calls to be outspoken and boisterous. That doesn't mean you get hide underneath a rock or whatever. Like He's gonna bring your pawn into play every once in a while, but then He's gonna put your pawn right back. Right? You're just a working man living for Christ, and if people know your deal, you probably shouldn't have to do a whole lot of talking. They know enough about you. Like very similar to Dan's point when he says, you know, they know where you stand, and they know where you're at as the preacher man. And when something comes up and they feel like it's a God deal, they'll call. Same thing with Nathaniel. If they know that you're at church every Sunday and finally something about Christ comes up, you're going to be the go-to Jesus man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like knowing a mechanic, right? Like you call the mechanic and say, look, my car ain't running right. I don't know what's happening. Well, it's a good thing I know so-and-so.
When the car's running great, you don't call the mechanic because you figure you don't even think about it.
Right,
But all of a
everything's
sudden you're
fine.
going, hey.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start working on this other lady at work.
You got some things.
Her name. I'm not gonna drop names.
Okay, good idea.
That was close.
She I don't know what she believes in. She's from India, and she might believe in Hinduism, but I'm not
Probably.
positive.
Yeah, I find those conversations to be tougher than most. When they're already invested in another religion, that's hard. It's just as hard to try to talk somebody out of their Christian religion to get in a relationship with Christ. You know what I'm saying? That's even tougher. Like in the ways, like there's people that don't know Christ at all that are struggling. They're easier to talk to. People who don't know Christ at all and aren't struggling, they're tougher. People that are invested in a religion outside of Christianity, they're tougher yet. People who claim to be a Christian but really are just religious, they're extremely tough to deal with.
Because they don't know that they're really not.
Right? They think that they're rocking. You're like, you need to get out of your religion and get in a relationship with Christ. And they're like, whatever. You don't know me. You know, I go to church all the time and I give big money. You know,
I give big money.
You don't know anything about me. I love Jesus. And you say, how do you show that to him? I go to church and I give big money. You know,
I break bread.
Right? I do a lot of bread breaking. I throw it and I love it.
I go to the Olive Garden.
But you know, because frankly, to like when that conversation shows up about the them being another religion, you kind of got to know your stuff.
I think I'm gonna try the strategy of asking her questions about her religion.
Where they have to keep answering, then they finally go, I don't know.
But we're at a time in our history when you really have to know your stuff. You know, I go back to the Apostle Paul. We talked about him a little bit earlier. He knew his stuff. He talked to a lot of different cultures and went in different communities, and they were so different. And he was so smart. He was highly educated, and he just knew how to talk to them in their way and reach them in the issues they were facing. I'm an idiot. I sit there and think, man, I couldn't tell you Hinduism. I've read about it. I've studied it halfway, but I can't tell you anything about it. You know, there's a lot of people that I'm kind of ashamed to say I've not studied hard enough to reach my culture. I'm just not prepared. And that's like totally anti-scriptural. I'm so busy doing other stuff, I'm not prepared to meet some of the people around me. I'm sorry.
Do you think? Sorry, never mind. I don't have anything intelligent to say.
Well, the thing is, well, what do? Do you study all of them? You know,
Or are there certain people to be reached by other individuals in the body? Like,
Well, there you
not
go.
everybody's an eye.
Yeah, good point. Because even like they use the old counterfeit money thing. They don't sit there and have you study the false stuff. They have you study real money so that you identify the false when you see it. And I've heard that explained, like in Christianity, you study the truth so that when you see non-truth, you recognize it. But the problem is, I don't know what non-truth they're believing. You know, I
Right.
can't get to the root of, well, here's Hinduism. You know,
Right.
Here's how you talk to a Hindu.
No, you know, I think there's people that are designed to do that, and there's people that aren't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would not wage war. You will do more harm than good if you don't know what you're talking about, right? And frankly, I think the Holy Spirit will lead you in that matter.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where you kind of have to check your pride, right? If you're like, I work for Jesus, I evangelize people, you know, let's talk to some Pakistanis. And then you go in there and you don't know anything about the Hindus, you're in trouble. Like, you're in trouble because you don't care enough about them to learn about what drives their life.
Yeah.
That'd be like someone trying to convert me to Hinduism knowing nothing about Christ. Like, you'd have a hard time convincing me when you don't know anything about me. I've based my entire life on this thing.
Yeah.
And you can't spend, you know...
You come up with a couple sentences in
Right,
an
you're
outline.
like, my deity has 8 arms. What's yours have? 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, crap. Their deity does have more arms. I made a huge mistake. You know, like, you're going to have to know more than that.
I watch a lot of YouTube videos on it.
On Hinduism?
Well, on world history in general. I'm subscribed to these 2 guys who do a history segment each week, and I went to high school and junior high in a Christian high school where I saw world history through the perspective of a Christian view.
Right.
And now I'm watching it on YouTube through a secular view, so I can compare and contrast the two to see what secular believes and how through
You're
a Christian
taking a
lens.
YouTube history course?
Yes.
That's kind of cool.
Nathaniel, do you think that's a disadvantage to you?
What?
The Christian high school?
I don't think so.
How so? Here's the way I would look
How
at
would it be a disadvantage to me?
I feel like maybe now I didn't go to a Christian school, right? So this is just totally assumption on my part, right? But I feel like you're sheltering people. Like, how can you ever learn to evangelize if they're hiding in their own Christian community?
Well, here's the thing. Not everybody who goes to a Christian school is a Christian.
Well, it seems like a total waste of money, right?
Here's the thing. There are kids who go to public schools and get in lots of trouble and smoke the old left handy, and they fornicate all over. They fornicate all over the place, and their parents aren't for that. And their parents have some money in their back pocket, so they say, no more of that, kid. You're going to private school.
Okay.
And so that's how you end up with a Christian school without Christian kids in it.
Okay. I see.
I think the most dangerous thing in the Christian school is you gotta watch out for those kids because they tend to have a lot of people. They tend to be friendly and they tend to sway people to their side.
Right. They're probably charismatic.
Yeah.
You know, they got some cool stuff. They're promising a little bit cooler side of life, you know. And some of that might be based on how conservative, your family is. If your family's very conservative and then you see a smooth talking dude who offers you a little bit of fun times, you're like, yeah, you know what? This whole Jesus thing's a drag. I'm out. I'm out.
So, anyways, you have the opportunity to evangelize right in your school to those people, and you have the opportunity to learn how to evangelize in one of your classes.
Do they have an evangelized class?
They have a Bible class, and that's part of it. And even the teachers, all the teachers at that school, would talk on a daily basis about Christ in their classes, even if it didn't have anything. It was not a Bible class.
So if you're a non-believer and you're attending a Christian school, do you feel kind of like there's a big target?
Yeah, can people sniff you out?
Everybody's like, "Hey, brother, if you want to die
They're
today,
like, "Hey, did you watch Jersey Shore last night?" And everyone's like, "No,
what's that?"
no, I didn't." What is that? Oh man,
It's Tuesday, guys.
we were a youth group.
No,
We were at
people
the prayer meeting.
people know who the non-Christian dude is, but I try not to become a target, but try to to accept them in and try and show them the ways of Christ.
I kind of man, I wish I'd have gone to both. I wish I'd have known the difference, right? Because I only went to a public school, and actually, I kind of made fun of the Christian people that went to my school. Like, there was like a organization. It was like the Brotherhood of Christian Athletes, and they met, like, I don't know. I wasn't in it because I wasn't an athlete, and
they had the pancake breakfast.
Yeah, like they got together and and there were some people who were Christians who I didn't really know that I was kind of impressed with. Like, they were fairly popular people, and I thought, well, they're not afraid of saying they're Jesus. That's hip. But like, that's about as far as it went. But the problem, they, as much as wide as they opened the door to the Jesus folks, they have to open it to the other side too. And so that there's a the gay club and the community helpers and whatever, all kinds of crazy people, and it'd actually be kind of nice. I don't know if you just start to you go through a school like that, at least you know where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to fight certain things. What my daughter's preschool teacher, they were talking, it was thundering, lightning, whatever, and she said my grandma used to tell me that when it thundered it was God bowling or whatever, and like, you can't say that everywhere. You can't say that everywhere. And my wife was just delighted, that she would even say God or Jesus, in a public school. She made a point to tell her, she said, I appreciate you saying that, I mean, it's nice to see in a public school, but like, you start getting in high school, you can't do that at a public school.
Yeah.
If one teacher says too much about Jesus, you're done. You just can't do it. And I thought, do you just get yourself kicked out? I mean, how do you kowtow to those rules? Let's say I'm a teacher at a high school, at a public high school, and I believe in Christ. I'm going to spend 40 hours a week for the next 25 years not talking about Christ because they'll fire me. I think I almost have to get fired.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can do that job.
Now, I think if someone asks the question, you have the freedom to answer.
If they say,
honestly.
do you believe in Christ?
Or hey, how did someone asked my wife last week? They're studying planets, and they're like, all it dawns on them, how did these planets get here? And she's like, well,
make sure the science teacher's gone for the day.
I mean, but it was a legitimate question, and it's like, here's how I understand it. So they can, but they're not supposed to like get up and
evangelize.
It's okay. Today we're talking about Jesus. I mean, although they can talk about Muhammad, so it's weird. It's a goofy.
I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it, right? I mean, of course, it costs money to send your kids to a Christian school, and there's just, there's a certain element at a Christian school as there is at a non-Christian school. You know what I'm saying?
Here's how we look at it. We had this conversation. Of course, we're toward the end now. We have our youngest is a freshman in high school, so we're almost through the system. We have one who just this last weekend graduated from college, and we had the discussion pre-kindergarten. Do we homeschool? Do we Christian school? Do we public school? And the deal is, like in the Christian world, the radios, the different things, you hear these extreme cases, and you immediately think every single schoolroom is like that. They're all trying to sacrifice children. It's like, well, no, there was one goofy freak in Southern California that thought it'd be cool to sacrifice a child, or whatever the situation.
Holy cats, Dad.
They're putting condoms on Barbies, and I mean, there's all these weird stories you hear. It's like, well, I'm not gonna have my child do that. It's like, well, they're not all doing it. There's just some wacky ones. So the first thing is okay, they're not all crazy. Anyway, in our setting, we decided for our family, we wanted our child, because our child was not going to probably grow up and go live and go work, in a Christian business, where they're always surrounded by Christian people. So we wanted them as children to learn how to maneuver the culture. And they could come home every single night, and we would deprogram a little bit and say, hey, how was the day? Who'd you talk to? What did the teacher say? And we would correct some things once in a while. And well, this is what Jesus says. This is what the Bible says. And that's what they say. This is why we believe this. So it takes work. It takes effort. You can't just blindly send them off to get educated. But it's kind of like the plant thing. That's when it's in a storm, the wind goes back and forth, and it becomes stronger because it's because of the friction going on in life. And in our family, we decided we wanted them growing up in a public setting because they're going to live in a public setting. They live in a public neighborhood. The whole world is surrounded.
Yeah, I probably would have gone to a public school if it had not been for my older brother. Mm-hmm. Because in junior high and even in elementary school, he was being bullied because of the way that he acted. And my parents didn't want him going to a public high school and getting bullied more.
Well, and
That's fair.
that's true too. I
Yeah.
mean, that's true, and that's the way it goes down. Like, at least you can have some control over it.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's a move to be made either way. You know, I don't know. It's funny. I just don't know how. I don't know what I think. I mean, we're invested in public school. That's where we're going. You know, that's what she's going to do.
I'm very comfortable with homes. I have great respect for homeschoolers and Christian schoolers. I mean, I don't look at any of them and go, I can't
I
believe
don't
you
either.
did that.
Like,
you
it
know?
seems to be like, if it works out great for you, it works out great for you. You know,
Every family's different.
Yeah, but I think you can reach that adversity just about anywhere, right? Like, especially because, like, I always worry. Like, the big worry is, right, like if you teach your child about Christ and they go to church their whole life, by the time they get to be 18, are they just going to rebel and split?
Like,
And
I've
just-
had enough.
And just like I've seen enough. Like, I've seen everything. I get how this works. It's the same. It's been the same thing since I was 3. Okay.
I would think if it's truly their lifestyle, though, that I mean, how do you rebel against, like, I'm tired of breathing air? It's like, well, that's just who you are. You breathe air, you know? I mean, hopefully, in families like that, it's. I mean, hopefully our girls.
It seems to be.
It's
I mean,
natural.
it seems to be a lot of what you see, though. Like,
Yeah.
Like, well, and that's. I mean,
a lot of
and
percentage of people. Yeah.
as soon as
Kids
they
go off to college and they start partying.
well, right.
Yeah.
As soon as they hit 18, 19, you know, they split and they leave the church until they get married. And then you can see them attend every once in a while, and then when they have kids, they tend to come back. You know, but there's probably 7 years that you just lose them. We lose them completely.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether that's a teaching issue or that's just dudes. That's just humans. That's just the way you go.
Not all of them, but it's a big percentage of them, and that was our biggest fear looking forward. Pre-kindergarten, saying, okay, what can we do to ensure that when we're done and we check out on the parenting thing, check off the list, that they're mature, strong believers and not just people who are doing what we told them to do. You know, we go to church. Why? Because just go to church. Well,
Right.
That's empty. You know, what does that mean? You know, we wanted to teach them to be active members of the body of Jesus Christ. You know, that we're followers of Him, and He's God, and He loves us, and He saved us, and it's a life. It's not an event. It's not a weekly event on Sunday.
Right.
It's who we are. It's we're
Well, and I
believers,
think
you know?
I think
Lifestyle.
a lot of the stuff that you find that has run that problem are families that have abdicated their responsibility to the church. I was talking to a guy earlier today, just before you guys came in, and I don't know. Like, I hear this a lot. Like, people get ramped up at the church because they're like, you know, the church isn't doing it. I've been guilty of this too. I'm like, we don't evangelize to people. We don't do this. We don't do that. Why aren't we doing this? We should get this program. You know, I think I just know everything about everything. You know, and I get all geared up about something and I'll spout out on it, and then, like, it just occurs to me, like, very similar to our welfare from our government, right? Like, the church wouldn't be near as busy if you do your job. You know what I'm saying? If you evangelize your kids, if you talk to your kids about Christ, maybe our children's program wouldn't be so overloaded that they have to have such a broad, sweeping message to cover every person. Look at our Sunday morning message, right? It has to be what it is because they're not taught Christ. They're not talked to about Christ before they get to the church. Like, the church is the disciple program, right? Not we introduce you to Jesus here. We introduce you to Jesus when I talk to you about Christ at work, or at the park or something, or at the store. These are all the places that you should be introduced to Christ, and then I bring you to church so you can disciple here, so you can grow as a Christian.
That's what one of the points that one of the professors at the college I was going to said, that this establishment wouldn't be necessary if people were learning about Christ in the family and in the church, like they should.
Yeah.
And so he advised that when we had children, bring them up in the ways of Christ, and then when we send them there, he won't have to teach them as much.
Yeah. Bible college is it's just Sunday school every day. You know, I mean, it's just more intense. I don't know why we can't do that. Learn the Bible.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like it kills me because I've been on both sides of the fence, right? I look at the modern church sometimes and I go, "What are you guys doing?" You know, you're like creating a Club Med for people. You know, people come in, they get pampered with food and stuff. You give them half a message and then they leave. You say, "Look, you should really do the thing the Jesus way," and then they go, I'll be back next Sunday. And I think, man, let's roast some folks. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I ain't roasting anybody. What do I expect? You know, you have to talk to 150, 200 people, 300 people on a Sunday, and you have to teach the Bible to people who are just beginning to be Christians, people who've always been Christians, you know, and you can't disciple every single one of them individually with one 20-minute message, right? And so, you know, if I were to look at that, and I don't know, obviously I'm not a preacher, right? But if I would look at that, I would go, okay, if I had to choose which way to turn my message, it's got to be for the new ones, right? It's got to be, because if they've been here long enough, they should probably start reading their own Bible, you know, and we'll talk about it if they have questions. But really, my message can't pander to them every week, you know, I can't, you know, but like, it's not like you can disciple every single person that walks in the door and like, you know, why didn't the church is not doing a good job introducing people to Jesus? Well, you're thinking about the church wrong, right? It should be, you know, you talk to them about Christ, they're interested, now they're coming, you know, or, you know, you took communion at home and you explained what Christ is and they said, yeah, I want to do this thing. You said, well, you should come be around everybody else who loves Christ too, and we'll figure out how to do this thing together. That's different. That's not the picture we paint, but like I said, governmental welfare and the church is basically the same thing. Everyone goes, not my deal, send him to church. You should come to my church. You should come to my church. Not, you should know Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I know Jesus. You know, and then people get up in arms at the church. They're like, the church doesn't do this. You don't do this. You know?
You are the
church,
right?
Where's that magic figure that just seems to point outward?
Yeah.
You know?
Those people, you're one of them.
It's so easy to dump on the modern church. It's so easy without turning that finger around at yourself and realize that church, and when they say the modern church, when people get upset at the church, they're upset at like the leadership. You know what I'm saying? They look at everyone else in the church and go, they get a pass because they're not leadership. You know what I'm saying? They're not in charge of nothing. What do you want them to do? I know. Tell people about Jesus Christ. Why don't you try that? And then see how much work goes away. Like, see how much of that stuff starts to flitter itself up. You know, and it's not near as clogged and near as berated. You'll have people that won't even show up on Sunday because they're busy evangelizing other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, the church is a body of believers that gets together to disciple and love Christ together, and it's basically, you know, let's learn more about Christ together, let's talk about it, if we got some issues, let's do this, and then let's get back out into the world where we belong and do our thing. But, you know, people just go, you know, they're using it as their feeding trough instead of a place to get replenished so they can feed others. You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't know, it seems like a really weird dichotomy that people are upset at church, but they don't want to do anything because they act like they're not part of it. Like you're outside looking in. Like, the church is wrong. I'm not part of the church, so I'm not wrong. But that church, they're not right. You know, it just seems lazy. It just seems really lazy.
It is.
You've been listening to Live from the Path on livefromthepath.org. You should check out the YouTube channel. We're streaming live on YouTube now. Apparently, Ben says they start to record our stuff and post the show. Bummer. Someone commented on the show. No doubt.
Was it
Path equals donkey? I don't get it. I wish I'd have responded, but I did not. I'm sorry. Ben does this stuff. Anyway, so we're broadcasting on YouTube. Ben says they might record it and just keep it on the YouTube, which is pretty unfortunate that this is the ragtag bunch that we've ended up with. But you know, I hope you come back for another week when we can get. I think we're gonna have Ryan Paul Buck in as a musical guest next week, so he's going to come in. Adam Cates is playing this week, I believe, at the Green Grounds Cafe, it's Saturday. I think
he's good
Saturday.
people. Check him out.
He is good people. And
Rave reviews from Nathaniel.
Have you seen him live, Nathaniel?
In here.
Oh yeah, he does a good job.
Is he going to be at Pathway on Sunday?
Is that this Sunday? Maybe it is.
I think it is.
Maybe Adam Cates will be in at the church on Sunday.
Do a song or two, or 6?
I don't know about 6. Seems a bit much. But so that should be pretty hip, and I think Cinema Fire just got back in town with their new lineup, so that should be pretty cool. Saved on Sunday is due to be back in the studio sometime in the next month. Ben's supposed to be working on the Green Grounds Cafe to bring some coffee in here, and we'll talk about them allowing to have Christian bands every Friday or Saturday, whatever they do, and that's
nice.
That'll be pretty sharp.
Yeah.
They sell sock monkeys.
What do you mean?
Like the big old sock monkeys?
They sell them?
Like
Yeah.
that you put it on your hand and talk with?
No, like it's a.
They sit on your
They just sit. They're like a
frame
puppet.
and look at you
Yeah.
creepily when you're sleeping. And you look over and go, I'm being stared at by a monkey.
Yeah, I've never really heard of it.
I heard there was good food there too. I ain't eaten any the last time I went.
I need to
because
go there.
I was watching Tim Cooper and Friends and really rocking out, but
Rocket.
Man, I tell you what, tough times. So let's say if our other computer's working, I'd play video right now and buy us some time, but it's not. So I guess we're gonna do some Dear Life from the Path. Let's see if we can get some advice rolling, boys.
Sweet.
Okay, let's just do this. Here's what we're gonna do. I am gonna turn this over to the picture of the donkey man. I'm gonna count to 5 silently. We're gonna reset this thing, and we're gonna come back with more energy and some really good advice.
Really pizzazz
Okay,
it
here
up.
we go. Changing over to donkey man now. And we're back from Live from the Past.
Sweet.
Man, okay, here we go.
Awesome.
Let's get some advice. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't know if that silence thing did any good. Dan didn't even move. He didn't even blink. I
feel
totally
refreshed,
disappointed. Dear
I'm really back.
Live from the Path, I am in a relationship with someone I graduated from school with. So we both have known each other for a number of years. We're both divorced. Because I'm an only child, my mother has always been protective and controlling. She hasn't recovered from my divorce, although it happened more than 10 years ago, and constantly finds fault with my current relationship. She argues with me almost weekly that I should get married because it looks bad for her that I live with this man, and in the sight of God, this isn't right. One minute she doesn't want me in a relationship, the next she's telling me I need to be married. I respect her beliefs, but think that we should get married just because she wants us to. I was married long enough to realize that a piece of paper doesn't make it right, so why force the issue? I love my mother, but her nagging is making it extremely difficult, not only for me, but for my relationship. How do I handle this? Nathaniel.
Okay. So her question is, how should she handle her mother's nagging?
Yes. Dig on the mother's phrases here.
Okay.
She argues with me almost weekly that I should get married because, quote, it looks bad for her that I live with this man, and in the sight of God, this isn't right.
Okay, I can agree with the in the sight of God deal, but it looks bad for her. I mean, that's kind of dumb, Mom. I mean, come on. Looks bad on you. You're worried that other people will look down on you because your daughter.
Do you think Mom would have been more effective if she left herself out of it and just said, the Lord isn't on board with what you got going? Let me ask you this. So, what? Hold on a minute. Let me see what's happening on the chat. Hold on, let me see the chat.
I think that it's a pride issue. We talked about that earlier. True love doesn't care about how I come out on this. It comes out with how's the daughter going to come out with God on this. So she was, like, you're right. She was half right. I mean, she needs to get a relationship with God in a good spot and in a healthy spot. And someone in a healthy relationship with Christ would never be in that situation because they would know, oh, Jesus is not to do this. Live with someone outside of marriage.
I kind of have a caveat problem to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know that he says that. Here's the thing. I got in a huge argument with my grandpa about this. My wife and I were set to get married in September. And we were looking for a house, and we found one. And we had to buy it. It was for sale in June. And we were both living separate places. And the wedding was in September, and we bought the house and moved in. It was legit. We moved in. It was still legit. And my grandpa called me, and he says, you need to fix this. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you can't live together. And I said, well, we're not, we're fine. We're not doing the thing like you're thinking. It just worked out that way. He said, it looks bad, and you're setting a bad example for people who know that you love Christ, and you're setting a bad example for them. And it blew my mind. I was totally blown away and really mad. Like, I was really mad. I'm like, here's the deal. We're on the up and up here. Like, I'm doing the right thing. I don't care what it looks like. We're fine. Like, it just logistically worked out that way. It was just kind of a thing. Whatever. I don't understand how this is a problem. He says it's a problem. It's a problem. It's the appearance of
evil.
Yeah. And I thought, this is a bunch of crap. Like, I was never so mad. And not just my grandpa. Of course, I was a younger kid than I am now, right? But I was really, really mad. I'm like, are you serious? I'm doing the right thing here, and I'm getting roasted over this deal. I don't care what it looks like. That's not what's happening. So, screw you and your rules. I already bought the place. And then I thought, I've revisited this like in the last year or so. And I still have a hard time with it. I'm still having a hard time. I'm like, I'm doing the right thing. And so I find it really hard that like I'm following, I'm following commandments. I'm not making, direct disobedience to Christ. But it looks like I might be doing that. And so then I thought maybe I'm not submitting my ways enough. So there is no appearance of evil. I don't know. Like I have is that a pride issue, Dan? Do I have a pride problem there?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Let the house sit empty for 3 months?
Find a buddy you can sleep on his couch for 3 months. All the finances go into the house. I mean, the finances are tied up. I mean, you've got that commitment. You need to take care of it. Surely there's somewhere you could kind of hang out. I don't know. Sorry, my friend.
I'm doing the right thing here.
I agree with Dan.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm not sinning though.
Correct.
It wasn't
but
an
still,
improper relationship.
here's what it comes down to. It's you're being a stumbling block for other people who other people who watch you, other non-Christians who say Mike Foost is a Christian, but he does this. They don't know that you're not doing anything.
I feel like you're adding things to the law.
And they don't believe you if you say you're not.
I don't care. I am.
I know. But that's the point.
My grandpa didn't either.
But that's the deal.
I feel like you're being pharisaical on this thing. Like you're adding more stipulations to make it something that it's not. Like I don't want you to get. I don't want you to break this commandment. So I'm going to set another rule in front of you so you can't break this commandment. That's what I feel like you're doing.
It's not really that at all.
So here's what I'm saying. If they say, look, because the stipulation we're looking at it is that you're not supposed to be having sex before you're married. Once you have sex, you're married, right? So if you're not doing that and you live in the same house, people say you shouldn't live together because it always leads to blah, 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 blah. But what if it doesn't? And you said, okay, me and God, I told him I wasn't going to do it. We're not doing it. That's it. But we're living in the same house because it just works out this way. And it works out very well. And you say, but you can't live together. And I say, why? Because Jesus doesn't want you to sleep with people before you're married. I say, we're not. Well, what now? That's what he said.
Here's the thing. Other people who see you, non-Christians who see you living in a house with a lady like that, believe that you're doing something sexual, even if you're not.
But I'm not.
Exactly.
Okay, hold a minute.
Even if you're not, if you tell them you're not, they're still gonna go, yeah, sure.
Okay, so what if I have a job that I work late at night, right? Like, so I leave really early in the morning, I come home late at night, and the people 2 houses down from me think that I have a grow house, think I'm a drug dealer, because there's a lot of people coming over and they don't know who they are and they never really see me, and I have dark tinted windows, right? I've done and really I just love Jesus and work a lot. I've done nothing. They know that I'm a Christian, but they look at my lifestyle and go, he's a drug dealer. I can't control what they think. Just because they run to some ridiculous conclusion, I can't control what other people think of me.
You can. Here's the thing. With that, that's you working. You can control the situation with you living with someone.
Are you saying that I can control where I work more than I can control where I live?
No, you could have spent the night with some dudes,
Here's Ephesians 5. But sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, as is proper among the saints.
Is that supposed to be your big wha-bam?
I think that's a pretty big one.
Wha-bam! How do you feel now, Mike?
I feel exactly
to the bank.
I feel exactly the same. I feel like you're adding things.
Must not
and
even
you're trying
be-
to put me in control of what other people think, and you can't ever win that game. Like, there's no way
you can
that I can
be
base
in
my
control,
stuff
though.
based on what other people think.
I mean, you can't control every little thing. Everybody. I mean, if somebody wants to think something, they're going to find something. But this is like in your face. Hey, I'm living with this person, and no, really, we never actually see each other at the house. I mean,
We do all the time. She cooks the food. It was sweet. Better than living by myself. I'll tell you that. It was sweet.
got the George Foreman.
I don't know. Feels like feel like you're adding stuff in. I suppose I get what you're saying, and I guess maybe if I had a chance to do it differently, I suppose that maybe I would have.
I would just say, let no one deceive you with empty words. For because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience, Mike.
I'm not really sure what that's supposed to mean. Who's talking to me with empty words?
Do not become partners. You're talking empty right now, my friend.
To myself. I'm trying to convince myself of empty words.
At one time you were darkness, now you are light. Walk as children of light.
I'm already married. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, the odds of me living by myself are low. Pretty low. You've been listening to Live from the Path. We'll call it the Pharisee Hour. Welcome to the Extra Bible Rules Time with Nathaniel and Dan.
So here's a question.
How to make your life look like Christianity.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nathaniel.
When you sleep with someone, you're married to them.
According to Dan.
Huh?
Go ahead, Dan. Dan's Bible interpretation. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Never mind.
Why do you disagree? What?
I don't have anything intelligent to say.
You were starting pretty strong there.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Dan. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so if you're not married via the state and you're sleeping with someone and you never leave them for your entire life and you're technically married in God's eyes, so what's wrong with not being married with a ceremony and all that kind of jazz?
I don't think there is. I agree
Dan?
with that.
That there is a group out there that refuses to have state-issued licenses as kind of a rebellion against the state, and they consider themselves married. They find that one person, and they know them biblically, and become married, and that's just it. And I don't know. I mean, here's the state could really give a rip, other than they want some tax money. Hey, give us the $30, whatever it costs for a license. They don't care. They don't care why someone's living together, who's living together, and what they're doing when they're together.
I know, but that's not my point. My point is it wrong biblically
to not have a ceremony, or
to
to not have a license,
to not be like technically married, but you still married. You consummated the marriage.
Yeah.
And you live a Christian lifestyle with the person, but you never actually said I do or anything like that.
Yeah. So it gets kind of hairy, but I kind of don't think so. I mean, that is wrong. I mean, it's if you're going into it as we're getting married, not as whoops, got a little too far that night. It's a whole different thing. I mean, you're really going in with a commitment of saying...
What about it was, whoops, got a little too far that night, but then you lived the rest of your life...
Like, you should be saying, whoops, we got married last night.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what you do, though. Whoops,
Yeah.
we got married last night. And then you stick it out the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
No, that sounds like the way to go to me.
I mean, most of the time you read through the Old Testament, they didn't even know the person until that night. And sometimes they got together the night and discovered, oops, that was the wrong person. And he's still, thinking of Jacob and Leah, and he still stayed married to her because, well,
You just married another one.
we're married.
You
Yep.
just got
I
married
want
twice.
Rachel, but now I got two of you. That's where it gets a little goofy with Old Testament stuff, because you had multiple wives, which are kind of weird. Then you had servants that sometimes you had children with them, and then sometimes they did the prostitute thing, and it's like, how is it distinguished? Because there didn't appear to be considered that marriage, although I think God did. I think that was just historical documents didn't call them married, but they still become one flesh. I mean, one flesh is one flesh. And it just gets a little goofy for me trying to figure that out, trying to follow that back. And
Well, I suppose you can straighten
things.
it out in the. Well, I think people are looking for lines so they can fool with it. They're
Yeah.
looking for lines so they can cross it or make an example out of it, right? Like, give me the definitive what I can and what I can't do. Once again, are you getting as close to the line as you can and then just backing it off a hair, or are you running the other way and saying, okay, like Jesus says, you look at a woman inappropriately, then you've committed adultery with her, right? Are you taking that tact instead of does prostitute not count because that's cool? Or can I have two wives because that's cool? You know what I'm saying?
Well, back in the 90s, how far did we go with this? When Bill Clinton was president and they were trying to define whether he had an affair or not, he said, well, I didn't actually have sex with that woman. And other people were like, well, yes, he did. They engaged in a different way. And that got me thinking at the time, going, I don't see that as the biblical definition of like marriage sex. Although obviously, like, you can't be, if you were married and got engaged in sexual activity but not intercourse
Right.
with someone else, I don't see that flying. Well, honey, we didn't really have sex. We just
Yeah,
got
that's not
pretty
gonna
much
work.
naked. I mean, so then that's another whole line in this thing. It's like, whoa, what does that mean? Does that mean those people got married? Or I still don't really see it that way.
No.
But
No, I feel like that's not. I feel like God said what He wanted, and anything apart from what He wanted is probably not what you want to be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like He says, here's what I want to see. I want to see one dude. I want to see one lady, and I want to see a lifetime of living and serving me as one group. That's what I want to see. And whatever crap you come up with to do apart from that ain't gonna fly. And there's probably a reason that Paul, just called it porneia, that he called it, any type of sexual deviance, right? Because as soon as you list it out, some guy's going to go, oh, yeah? What about this? This wasn't on the list. I'm going to do that action.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so as soon as you make the list, they're just going to find one crazy man and wants to bring a turtle and, his Aunt Mildred in. And that's a problem. You can't be doing that. And so...
Especially when I have an Aunt Mildred.
So, I can see that there's a reason that he's like that. And there's a reason that God... this comes up a lot, too, is people run into a problem and they'll say, look, I want to see the biblical example on how to address how to address this issue. And what the Bible's really good at is saying what God wants. And so if he didn't attest to it, and he didn't say he says this is how I want it, and what you're asking is opposite of that, that's no good. He didn't specifically say no. He didn't say I want. Well, what would be a good example? Like he says, I don't want you to cheat on your wife. Okay, and they say, well, what about this other stuff? It's not really technically cheating. He didn't attest to it because he said, I want you to stay married with one guy, one gal for one lifetime. That's what I want to see. And then people say, well, what about this? Is that one guy, one gal for one lifetime? No. Okay, that's a no then. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to answer everything in the negative just to prove the positive. The positive is, this is what I want to see. Everything else that is not that is no good.
Yeah.
And so really, people split hairs over this thing all the time, and really they're not hairs to be split. They're not even on the same head. This is what I want to see. Anything else from that's no good. That's not what I want to see. So,
and at the same time, you look like in Leviticus, where the law was written out. God was really specific about things, and you read through some of that stuff and you go, ew. It's like, how did a culture get to it? We think we're pretty bad. Well, some of the stuff's going on now. Is why would it tell people not to have sex with animals? It's like, well, really? Really? Or to not have sex with your sister or your mother, or all this big list of things. It's just very specific. Don't do this. Don't do that. And you're like going, well, am I just that weird that would never
right? This didn't occur to me.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look at that little puppy.
Right. There's been a huge amount of people that have had a long time to come up with some crazy stuff to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see what the secular advice is.
I'm just kind of creeped out.
The secular advice
we kind of strayed, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The phrase that I liked was, she argues with me almost weekly that I should get married because it looks bad for her, and that I live with this man, and in the sight of God, this isn't right. That's not really solid biblical counsel. I would probably show up with some verses, and here's what God thinks. Not like, God doesn't, like that's the worst, that's the easiest way to have someone shut a door in your face when you go, God doesn't like what you're doing.
Yeah. Hey,
yeah.
God loves you. He has a better way.
Yeah.
That'll save you some heartache.
Secular says, you may be an only child, but you are a child no longer. You are entitled to live your life the way you wish. Get her. While there are legal protections for a wife that a live-in does not enjoy, if you prefer not to formalize your relationship, you should not be pressured into it. The next time your mother starts in, tell her firmly you will not argue the point and change the subject. That goes real well with my wife. When me and her disagree and I say, we're not going to talk about this, let's talk about the zoo. Doesn't go well like Abby's trying to sell, seems to go worse. Like, we're not done talking about this. Oh yeah, we are. Good luck with that one. Try that one out on your husband, see how it goes. Here we go. I'm a single mother, dear life from the path. I'm a single mother of 3 kids, ages 10, 8, and 7. Their father and I have been divorced for 2 years. He moved 300 miles away and sees the kid mainly in the summer and on holidays. He has since remarried, and she has children as well. My problem is my kids feel he treats her children better than he treats them. I try hard not to badmouth him, but from what they tell me, it's a one-way street. He has told our kids that he loves them more than I do, and that he wishes he didn't have to pay child support. Classic dad. It hurts me to see them hurt. What can I do? We don't have a good relationship. He refuses to listen to anything I say. I don't want to hide the kids. I don't want the kids to hate their father, but unless he changes, they will. They have already asked me if they can talk to the judge to get their visits made fewer and shorter. This is hard. This is really hard. This is probably one of the hardest things that I wouldn't wish upon my enemy, to have to deal with. Your mom and dad split up, and it didn't go well. Like, it went terrible. I was lucky when my parents got divorced. I think I was 6 months old, and they were ambivalent. They could have cared less what goes on either way. I think they had some type of affection for each other, but it wasn't so, embroiled that they was bitter. They could just not care, So it was an awesome divorce for me. I considered it great. I never knew the difference. My old man came and picked me up every other couple weeks or whatever, and the rest of the time I was with mom, and that was it. That's all I ever knew. So it never bothered me any. And, you look at some of these things where, seriously, you wonder why God set up marriage the way he did. It's because of crap like this. Like, seriously. Yeah. These kids are stuck right in the middle of it. Dad says, I don't want to pay child support. You tell that to your kids? I don't want to give money to support you. You sound like a real class act, Dad. Yeah. A real winner.
Real upstanding guy.
Seriously.
I love you too.
It's even, and this isn't even the worst of the worst, right? This is just an average story. There's a ton of people who have divorced parents, but it kills me when you hear people talk like this, and then they go, "Biblical marriage is for nerds." How could you just hook up with one guy or one gal for your whole life? That sounds lame. Here's what it's producing. Here's what your alternative lifestyle is producing. They say, well, not everyone's like that. A good majority of them are.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to stand on your high horse and say, you're being judgmental of my relationships. I should be able to sleep with whoever I want. It's not that big of a deal. I should be able to raise kids by myself if I want to. If I can't find a man, I'll get someone to impregnate me from the sperm bank. These are my options. I have these options as this person. And you go, man, are you kidding? Are you kidding? This is what happens. The kids get, after that sperm bank incident, kid's gonna turn 13 and go, why can't Dad take me to Dad takes kids to work day? Oh, because you don't have a dad. Because we didn't straighten that out.
We went to the bank.
We didn't fix that up. I don't know. It's not like you want to go around purposely hurting people's feelings on the lifestyle that they're living. But the truth of it is, the truth is what the truth is. God set it up that way for a reason, and it's way more your protection than it is to be a mean, overbearing father. It's really just to keep you out and to keep your children from suffering under your folly as a doofus. Mm-hmm. Daniel, anything?
Well, I live a godly life to the best of my ability. Because it affects a lot of people. The Bible says that I'm as a husband to love my wife, so I love my wife, even if I don't feel like it, because guess what? That's what God said, and I do it. And you know what that does? It creates a family where my kids feel pretty secure. My kids feel like, they would be shocked if we suddenly showed up and say, "Hey, by the way, we're getting divorced." They'd
right.
be like, it would be it would rip their world apart, and we're not going to, because God said we can't. Even if we don't like each other, we'll figure something out.
Right.
That's how both of us have approached our marriage. And so there are times in every marriage you don't like each other. You just go through phases. One person does something dumb, the other person whatever. There's just something that things just happen sometimes that you're just not very likable, and you just have to suck it up and learn to like the other person again, because there's no way out. And that it creates a healthier marriage and a healthier environment.
Well, it's like the weed thing you were saying, sometimes
exactly.
It just gets blown around and
I think your wife said that to me one time.
What?
That marriage is hard.
Dang.
She just looked at me and pointed her finger.
Yeah, she's right.
Maybe it was somebody else.
You know what?
I don't know.
I would submit that a good marriage is work.
My dad.
It's work. Like, and you can get away with not doing work for a long time, but eventually you're gonna get fired.
You'll be,
You know what I'm saying? And like, even and that's the part that stinks is Christians will marry other Christians and say we don't believe in divorce, and they'll put no work into it, figure it's a catch-all, and their marriage is crap. I mean, crap. And you want nothing more than to sin against God because you want a divorce because you didn't take care of the marriage you had. And then you blame God, like, why would you pair me with a man like this? Why would you let a lady like this into my life? Why did you let me make this commitment? And God says, look, I mean, I told you what to do. I gave you some advice. I said, here's what I want to see. You did none of those things. You thought it was a catch-all, a law. You know, that's religion. Like, that's not a relationship with Christ. That's not pursuing your wife. It's not pursuing your kids. It's not leading anybody. And so you can't, just because you married, you know, you said, do you believe in Jesus? I believe in Jesus. Okay, great. Let's get married. Now we can't get a divorce. You can't just sit back and wait for the end of days. You know, I mean, you got to put some work into this thing, unless you want to suffer till the end of days.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's totally up to you. If you want to live in a crappy marriage, then by all means, act like a lazy sloth and a doofus.
Because anyway, you look at it, there are two imperfect people in that marriage, and you're trying to have a relationship and get along with each other, and you both have pride, you both have ego, you both have faults, you both have issues, and you're trying to have this happy, blissful marriage. It doesn't exist without, like you say, a ton of work, a lot of forgiveness, a lot of patience, and a lot of bending over backwards, and it never stops, ever.
Sounds like a real hassle.
It really is.
There's times.
You guys.
There's times. But there's times it's well worth it.
It is as
More
well.
times than not. Hello, wife. Not on. It's a hassle. You have been listening to Live from the Path. We got a couple more questions here we're going to go roll through. This is my favorite one so far of the night. So let's, I really don't care to listen to Secular's advice on the other one. She's going to say, blah, blah, blah. The dad's just doing the best he can, blah, blah, blah. A divorce is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
So Secular, blah, blah, blah. Forget her. Here we go. Dear Live from the Path. It's my favorite. My sister-in-law is demanding to know why I won't accept her friend request on Facebook. Personally, I don't consider her a friend and prefer not to allow her access to my Facebook page. How can I politely and honestly answer her question?
You could go with, hey, I hate you.
That's what you want to say? You know, it's funny that these questions, you know, they wouldn't have come up 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, this wouldn't have been an issue 5 years ago.
Good thing we're cutting edge.
Yeah,
Live on the Path.
We're we know a lot of things, and so here's the question. I think this breaks down to personality style. If you asked, I've done this before. Like this, this is not unfamiliar territory to me. Hey, I sent you a friend request on Facebook, and I say, yeah, I saw it, and then that's it. I just wait, and they say, well, did you accept it? And then you just wait more, and they say, well, why not? Because I don't want to be your friend on the Facebook.
Here's what I do. I accept everybody. Every single person that sends me a request. And then every few months, I do a friend in roulette type deal, and I just randomly click a bunch of people and delete them as friends. And if I really miss them, then I'll add them again.
Well, what if they won't accept your friend request the second time?
Well, then, I guess
I mean,
that's the way it goes.
I don't know if I got a message that said Nathaniel is no longer your buddy, I said fine, and then me and
you don't get a message that I'm not your buddy anymore. You just get a message when I say, "Oh man, I missed Mike's post."
Oh, like
you would get another friend request from me.
and I say, what happened? I thought we were already friends.
I would say you got friend and rouletted.
I don't know if I like being part of your business.
I don't like it at all. I feel hurt.
Dan, I
don't
feel
need
like
that.
you accept friend requests from everybody. Do you do that?
I don't. I will look at them and figure out if I have a connection for real. I mean, I'm friends with some people I haven't met, but I have to at least see that there's a strong connection, because I've gotten some that I have no idea who they are, and I just won't do it. But I do most. I think you have to. I mean, my thought is, what could you possibly be doing on Facebook that you wouldn't want your sister-in-law to be a part of? That would be that horrible for you.
Maybe she's a gossip and is
Maybe
gonna
you're-
look at my page and you
on
ever
Facebook.
Yeah, here's the thing. Have you ever? Yes, definitely on Facebook, right? Have you ever met somebody that no matter, like they're like the instant telephone. No matter how the story came out, but when they retell it, it's not even close to what happened. Not even close. There's a couple of people in my family like this, right? Like they could be sitting there watching the exact same thing go down as I'm watching. And they'll turn around not 5 minutes later and tell a story that is nowhere representative of what just went down, right? those are the kind of people you don't want to be friends with on Facebook. Like I could write Live from the Path tonight, Nathaniel, Dan, your questions, and Ben is at a concert. And then the next thing I see on Facebook is Ben's left Live from the Path. He's no longer part of the show, and Ben and Dan and Nathaniel are fighting. Oh no, you know what I'm like? That's not what I wrote. That's not what I wrote. You know, but there's people that do that. Those are the kind of people you don't want to be friends with on Facebook.
Yes.
What I really don't like on the Facebook is people who like put half. They express that they're angry with something, but they don't actually say anything. They're like, "Oh, I can't take any more of this today. Don't message me or text me."
Yeah.
People
It's
say
like,
that.
Yeah, it's like, why are you doing this? If you want the attention, why don't you want people to message or text you? You don't need to share that you're upset with everybody. If you don't want anybody to talk to you about it.
My experience with Facebook is just such a phony existence. Like, it just drives me nuts. People get on there and they say, they say stuff like, my day is going crappy. And, like, then they just wait for people to go, oh, why? What's happened? Oh, I'm
glad
sorry.
you asked.
Oh, you should call me. Why don't you just call somebody instead of telling? I mean, here's the thing. I would guarantee that almost 85 to 90% of the people you're friends with on Facebook, you should probably not know anymore. They were in your life a long time ago. You cut ties with them. You moved away. You're not buddies anymore. Who has time to know 1,000 people? I don't have time. I have time to know like 8 people. I can really honestly only know and properly be in relationship with probably 10 people. Like honestly, to be a friend or a spiritual leader or to be able to love on somebody, you can't do that for 1,000 people. You just flat out can't do it. You can't be there for every single person, right? If you can't have 1,000 best friends, you don't need 1,000 people telling you happy birthday. I really just care that my wife remembers my birthday and my kids made me a card. That's all the more I care. And so, like, while I appreciate it, everybody goes, thanks for the birthday wishes, had a great day. I don't even write that. Like, you only wrote it because it popped up in your calendar. It's not like you wrote it in your own personal calendar. The computer told you that it was the day, and you piped in. It just seems like such a phony shell of a game. Like, you have 1,000 friends, and you don't. You know 1,000 people. That's it. They're not buddies of yours. They're just there.
On Facebook, I try and share funny quotes or videos that I enjoy, and that's pretty much all I do there.
I think you're safe there. It depends on how many you do a day, but I think you're safe there.
I try and keep it like 2 a week.
I think that's probably
like, hey,
enough.
I found
That's
this funny
probably
video.
enough.
Watch this cat.
Yeah, that's enough. There's no more needed. 2 a week is probably acceptable. I don't like to write personal Facebook messages. If there's something I think everybody's like, I think the last thing that I posted on Facebook that didn't have anything to do with this show was when my daughter broke her elbow, because she had a cute picture. I shared that picture. But I think I only have like 100 friends. I don't have that many because I don't friend people that I don't like. People that I know and love when I was in 2nd grade. We're not buddies. People are buddies. They're like, hey, I went to high school with you. Great. I have no idea who you are. I'm sure you were great back then.
I didn't like you then. I don't like you now.
We're not buddies, man. Like, and then all of a sudden, I've friended people, and they're like, did you get the picture of my kids? I'm like, I don't even know your wife. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm sure your kids are lovely. I'm glad you love them. I don't have time to love your kids and my kids. I'm gonna love my kids, and then the people surrounding me. I can't love on that many people. I don't know. Facebook drives me nuts.
You're a very stingy relationship person.
What do you mean?
You're just, I don't know. You're just keeping the all. I mean, because you're right. It's a fake relationship. It's a digital relationship. It's not a real thing. It doesn't take any time. It's just.
Well, it seems like you're just wasting it. You're throwing it to the wind.
It's kind of fun.
And really almost to your own self-indulgence.
Yeah.
It's like putting getting a big ego massage on there.
Throw a little Jesus out once in a while. Throw a little just silliness once in a while.
Here's another thing I don't like. Is when people put out like pictures like this if you love Jesus.
Oh,
share this. Yeah. If you love Jesus, and 99% of you won't share this, but the ones who love Jesus will share this message. I don't like that.
I love Jesus, and I'm not sharing.
There's people, I don't like when my Facebook tells me who I am or what I'm about. Like when it says 95% of people won't do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm one of those people. And then I get rid of them. Then I unfriend them because I can't stand people to do stuff like that. Like, I look at it, you know why? Because I qualify people with personality flaws, right? I figure if you're the type of guy that would send that picture, then you are out, right? Like, I see one thing from you and I go, if that's the kind of guy that you are, we don't have any business knowing each other. You're gone. My friends would not do something like that.
I think it's fun to watch some of the whining that goes on. Usually they're 20 or under who are they just whine and whine. You think, wow, you know I'm reading this, and we're not friends really. We're just like friends on Facebook, and you put this for people like me to read. I think it's hilarious that people would do that.
You know, I was reading an article, I think it was yesterday, about the fact that my kids especially. But like starting with my kids' generation, their entire life will be online, and that will not go away. Like that, that sixth grade, talent show that I did, where I was picking my nose through the whole thing and accidentally fell on my rump, and then my pants fell down, is buried on a VHS tape in my closet somewhere, right? But the way that our society is going, that tape is on the internet, not 10 seconds after it's been taken, and it never leaves the internet. It's on there for the rest of their life, for their whole kid for all of your friends and her future husband and all her employers to always see. Like, you have to be very careful, because you're like, I'm seriously cultivating my daughter's online life without her knowledge, without her, like, I'm posting things about her that will always be there.
So sometime she'll be applying for a job, and they'll say, "I see you had a broken arm.
Yeah,
you don't qualify.
You broke your elbow. You're
That's
clumsy.
not going to work. We need somebody.
You're a clumsy. We were hiring a ballerina. You're out."
I'm trying to just look at the ridiculous post of one of my friends, and I can't say, I hate to say anything out loud because I'll know who it is, but
you want me to do it? I have very few friends, Dan.
No, because then they'll defriend me, and that'll probably hurt my feelings.
Serious?
They have a new app out that it's you can find out who unfriended you.
Is it real? That creeped me out once. I don't remember the app. There's an app where you can be like a stalker. You can be like a freaky guy and go into a neighborhood, and you can find out all the girls in the neighborhood, and their Facebook picture will pop up. And then you can just be a stranger, and then you can get onto their Facebook and see if anybody has tagged them, depending on how their security settings are on Facebook. So someone could find my daughter just by driving down the street and saying, "Yeah, she's kind of cute, and she knows where she lives, she knows where she goes to school, she knows everything."
That's terrible.
Or they know everything about it. It's awful.
I think actually that app got banned from the App Store recently. I saw
that one, the one I was talking about.
Yeah,
Good,
I believe it's called
creepy.
Women Around Me.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
How do you know?
It was on the news story.
Oh.
Because I'm trying to use it.
Because I got it right here. Look,
Well-
there's one within 3 blocks.
No,
That's scary.
It's really
they were
scary.
talking
It's
about-
frightening.
I watch a lot of YouTube guys.
Here's the deal.
I watch the YouTube history course, and I watch the news on YouTube because I don't got time for TV.
Yeah.
So that was one of the stories that they did, was Women Around Me, and how the people were trying to get it banned because it was just flat out creepy. It's weird stuff.
So let me ask you, as a YouTube expert, how do you go about? Just type in history in YouTube, or do you subscribe to people's channels? Or?
Yeah, I subscribe to people's channels. There are two dudes. They're called the Vlog Brothers, and YouTube will give me suggestions on what I've previously watched, on what they think I'll like, and so that's how I originally found them. Is that I watch a lot of vloggers, and they said, well, these guys are the Vlog Brothers. You might like them. So I checked them out, and they do a lot of different things. They do a science show. They do a history channel. And then they do Brothers 2.0, which is, for a year, they decided instead of talking to each other in person or texting each other, that they would vlog back and forth every day.
And you get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
Are you their friends on Facebook?
No. I've only actually friended one YouTuber on Facebook, and that's because I really enjoy everything that he comes out with, and he's just a really upstanding dude, and he's a Christ follower.
Is his name Mike?
His name is Olin Rogers.
Oh.
What's he do? Is he a talking man?
He does several different things. He does he vlogs sometimes, and he tells humorous stories that just make me want to roll on floor laughing.
I ruffle.
And nobody actually ruffles in real life, and that's what he makes me do.
I have.
And he makes sweet videos that I think the last one he did was a Mega Man X video. and it told the backstory of the video game Mega Man X. It had some cool graphics, and for a low budget, he made a high quality production, and I like to see that.
That's cool.
Does it remind you of Live from the Path?
No, not really.
No one subscribed to us on the YouTube. Well, I think they do.
Yeah,
actually.
they do. Yeah.
I think I'm subscribed.
Ben knows things about this here.
Yeah.
You know, we had 4 viewers, looks like, on the YouTube tonight. They gave up on us because it was terrible, but anyway, you've been listening to Live from the Path on livefromthepath.org. Thank you very much for sticking out with us tonight. We're about to wrap things up here. I'm going to read the here's the secular advice. Here's what we decided about the Facebook, though, right? Someone says, send you a friend request, and you don't want to be their friend. You just say, no, I don't want to be your buddy. Don't offer an explanation unless they really chew one on you. Just tell the truth, man. Stop wasting your life pandering to people.
Yeah.
Just tell the truth and be done with it.
Life is just too short to sit there and worry about what everybody thinks about you.
I think it's too short to
Unless
take a
you're
bunch
living
of
with your
friends.
girlfriend.
I think it's too short to be grumpy.
I don't think it's grumpy.
Life's just
being
short.
honest.
It's a vapor.
Are you? I feel like we're miles apart on this thing, Nathaniel. I feel like you are on the other side of the Facebook than I am. I say just cut it dry. Call it what it is.
That's because we're a decade apart.
So you just take all the friends you can get and hoard them.
I don't hoard them. I told you I get rid of them.
I have a bunch of them.
I feel like you could
I
be
figure
more.
they
I
can
think
ignore me.
it's more of a personality thing.
Why don't you just stop accepting so many friends so you can get some more work done, Dan?
It's not like I interact with them all day. They just are hanging out there. They probably never see my stuff. I never see their stuff.
That's not true.
I mean, I just all I see is what happens to be up on the screen when I log on. I go, oh, I might scroll down a little bit. There's all kinds of, I don't know. People comment on my stuff. I'm thinking, how did you even see that? Unless none of their friends are posting things or they're subscribed to me.
I feel like you should get off the Facebook for a week.
You think so?
A week.
That's not all that uncommon. It seems like I'm there all the time, but lately I'll go 3 or 4 days without it. Then I'll just slide something in real quick just so I did it, and then I'll get off.
What do you mean, just so you did it?
Just so like, oh, by the way, Sunday's happening, blah, blah, blah. Come to Jesus. He'll appear through Facebook.
Okay, I feel like
I'm a friend of Jesus.
I
on
feel like
Facebook.
we're on different sides of this thing. Okay, here we go. Dear Secular says, because she is forcing the issue, be forthright and answer her question by telling her that while she may be your sister-in-law, you do not feel personally close enough to her to be comfortable having her review your activities and thoughts on a daily basis. I feel like that's a trumped-up way of saying no.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't like it.
Oh,
I think a no would have done it.
you're a pretty direct guy. Obviously, she's not.
Saves a lot of time, doesn't it?
She I know it does, but she's already, having all kinds of anxiety over this. She had to call us.
Here's the thing. Like, I've yet to see if this works out for people. Like, being direct. It seems to, it could go 50-50. Like, either it goes terrible or it goes great, I think you just have to be willing to handle the swings.
People who care about what people think about them have a hard time being direct. People who don't care don't have any problem.
That's why I stopped combing my hair. What do I care, I comb it for the wife. If I'm going out and about, they'll hallelujah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't wear fancy clothes. She looks like a bum. It keeps ladies away from you. It's how to protect your marriage. Bum. Be a bum.
They generally have always.
But I'm
stayed
not
away from me.
married, so what should I do?
I would
Combing your
suggest
hair,
going to
put on a different
Fantastic
shirt.
Sam's. They do a fantastic job. Yeah, great clips, Raul. Yeah. Fantastic Sam's. That's where you belong.
That's what Fantastic Sam is Raul.
No, I thought you went to the great clips with the boats.
No.
Okay, yeah, go
Fantastic
Fantastic
Sam.
They're fantastic.
Raul.
Yeah.
Your hair is so luscious.
Does he say that?
That's what he does.
Okay, you should go somewhere else.
I should.
It's just awkward.
He does a good job, though.
Okay, here we go. One more. Nope. You know what? We only got 3 or 4 minutes. Let's just let's figure this thing out. Let's give up on the Dear Abbeys.
Let's play it out with a tune.
Well, the computer doesn't work.
Oh.
We can sing.
Yeah, you can play the guitar. And we'll make up a song right now.
I think we have a guest next week. I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't seen Troy Engeldinger in a couple 3 weeks, so I might give him a call and see what happened to that
Does
guy.
he not like us anymore?
I don't know.
Is he just maybe wised up?
I heard he might be injured.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Have you really heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that. But I wouldn't want to slander him. If he's not injured, I don't want people, because the thing is, his Facebook will blow up. They'll be like, "Oh, Troy, you're injured. I heard that." Blah blah blah.
You know who got in a car crash?
Who?
Nick Cox.
He did.
No doubt.
Is he okay?
He is, I believe, but his car's totaled.
Ooh.
That's rough stuff.
Did he have too much pride in it? Jesus take it away from him?
I don't think so.
I did that to my uncle's car one time.
You totaled it?
He had a BMW. It was used, but it was nice. It was probably an expensive car. And he was always the cool uncle, right? So when I turned 16, he was going to let me drive it. But he didn't like the way the driver's ed teacher was teaching me how to drive because I was driving with 1 foot. He said everybody drives with 2 feet, one on the foot, one on the foot feet, one on the brake, and then you just alternate feet to get things done. He goes, "You can drive my car." I said, "No." He goes, "Yeah, do it." So I'm driving this, used BMW around, looking pretty sharp, and then he goes, "Go ahead and park right by that gas station wall right there." Well, I get close to the wall, get ready to hit the brake. No, I hit the gas instead. Pow! Right in the kisser. Ruin it. I mean, it's total, right? And he gets out of the car, and he puts his hand in his head, and he goes, "I had too much pride in that car. I think Jesus is taking it away from me." I said, "Okay." And then I cried for like a day because I ruined my uncle's car, and he was the cool uncle. You don't want to break his stuff. But I watched him sit there and go, "I got too much pride in this car. I think God's trying to teach me a lesson." I'm like, "No doubt. That's the way Jesus works. I hope I don't ever get anything expensive."
I drive with 2 feet.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, because you drive a clutch. That's different.
I found out what happened to Troy Engledinger
What?
on Facebook. It's what he ate. Just got back from the B&B grocery, meat and deli. I have what they call a home wrecker, spicy Polish sausage with what I call all of the family. Mustard, ketchup, onions, pickles, super hot cheese. However, they threw in something special on top for me, coleslaw. It was amazing.
Okay.
He may have died.
So he doesn't have a knee problem?
That was May 10th. So I think his whole body's probably fallen apart since then.
Oh. Well, I hope he gets better.
That sounds outrageous.
Okay. So here's the deal. You have been listening to Live from the Path on livefromthepath.org. Please give us another chance next week. Ben Foust will be back in here. He'll have solid Jesus topics. The conversation will be a-flowing. It'll be good times had by all. I'm sorry if you've your first time visiting. Boy, that's got to be awkward when people come to church and you're like, "I know it hasn't gone very well. Please give us another chance." How do you say that? God is good. We are not. That's the thing to remember. But thank you for listening to Live from the Path. We will catch you next week. Have yourself a good evening.
Have a good one.